Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Detroit.
Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is presented by
Bell Tire.
Winners of 6 straight games, the Red Hot Tigers are back at it again tonight. The Tigers come into play trailing the trailing the baseball. Mario and Pemba alongside Rod Allen. Glad to have you with us here for game 1 in the series against the Chicago White Sox. And Rod, although the Tigers have not made any changes because of the trading deadline, they stand pat, but still maybe some additions coming up in just a couple of days.
Well, you talked about the fact they had won 6 straight, so Al Avila felt like the team was playing some good baseball. They're going to get Jordan Zimmerman back on Thursday. He's going to start here. They might just get back J.D. Martinez before this particular homestand is over as well. And Norris is starting in the minor leagues. They felt it was better to option him down there. So this is a pretty good team, and the guys feel that way.
All right, now how about James McCann? We know he busted up the ankle. He sprained it early in the season. That really kind of slowed him down, but now we're starting to see the James McCann we expected at some point this season. He's finally here.
You know, I had a long conversation with James McCann today in the clubhouse, and he said that it's not so much mechanical what his issues was, but he was just not having good swings. But lately, he has been doing a lot of damage. He said he had a conversation with Miguel Cabrera a couple of weeks ago in Chicago, and Miggy told him to use your lower half. Start to rotate your hips. Your hands will come through the strike zone. And he says since he's gotten that information from Miguel Cabrera, everything in his mind is kind of free and easy, Mario. He's not overthinking every single at bat. He's not worrying about the leg kick or the toe tap. He is simply seeing the baseball and hitting it, and he's doing a marvelous job of that lately.
All right, White Sox in town. Game 1 of the series coming up after a short break. We'll send you back to the Coliseum Studios. Check in with Matt Shepard. Big weekend for the Tigers against the Astros. They scored 28 runs over the weekend. Hopefully more of the same here tonight. Tigers, White Sox, game 1 next. The White Sox in town as we get you set for the Tigers and Sox starting lineup for Chicago, presented by the Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. It'll be Adam Eaton to lead it off for Chicago. The young, good-looking rookie Tim Anderson is batting second. Melky Cabrera is in left field. Jose Abreu has been struggling lately. He's at first base. Morno Frazier. Then you've got Navarro Tilson, the newly acquired Charlie Tilson, and Tyler Saladino for the Sox. And they are facing right-hander Anibal Sanchez, presented by Family Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
It's been a rough year for Anibal, 5-11, but I was encouraged by his last start on July 24th against the White Sox. No decision in that game, but he worked with a much quicker tempo. He was able to get the ball down in the strike zone, good fastballs, good breaking balls. Look for him to speed up again today with good tempo.
Tigers have won 6 in a row, trying to make it 7 straight with Chicago here in town. Adam Eaton will lead things off. Tigers check in 9 over the 500 mark at 57-48. First pitch is a strike called on Adam Eaton.
If you're Justin Upton in left field, you know Eaton is going to hit the ball your way, and you know you're battling that sun because it's a tough sun field early at Comerica Park about this time.
Here's the 0-1 pitch, and it's high and away. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Eaton was the one guy that really got to Anibal Sanchez in that start on the 21st. He scored a run in the first inning, led off with a base hit, and then he homered in a second at bat.
He'll drill that one down the right field line. It is hooking, and that ball is up against the wall, but foul. Just outside of the white line down there in the right field corner.
Adam Eaton has turned himself into a pretty nice leadoff hitter. He hasn't been injured that much lately, on the field every single day. Lots of infield singles. Nice two-way player.
He was also money in that series against the Tigers in Chicago a couple of weeks ago. 6 for 13 in that series. And he scored 4 runs. Right back up the middle on a slow roller and into center field. It's a seeing-eyed single for Adam Eaton.
Let's take a look at the Tigers starting defense presented by Beaumont Health. In the outfield, they've got Upton, they've got Maben and Collins. Romine getting a start today at third base. Iglesias, Kinsler up the middle. And the big fella, he's anchored over at first. And James McCann, man, he's been on some kind of tear at the plate. He is behind the dish.
Eaton now has been on base in 25 of 49 plate appearances this year against the Tigers. He's been getting it done as Tim Anderson steps in.
And very important for Anibal Sanchez to make sure that he at least slows Eaton down and does not allow him to get a good jump from first base if he's thinking about stealing his 12th bag of the year.
Anderson has played some outstanding defense against the Tigers. Good looking rookie who was their #1 prospect and called up last month. And he'll look at a strike on the outer edge. 0-2 on Anderson. The one thing, Rod, I've noticed on Anderson is he stands way up in the box. You don't see too many guys really with that front foot almost to the front line.
And the reason why he does that, Mario, is the fact that he's got lightning quick hands, and he doesn't believe that most of the guys that he's gone up against can throw that fastball by him.
Did he go? Did not, says Alan Porter down at first base. 1-2 on Anderson.
And you can see where he's up in that box, and fastball upstairs, able to lay off of it. He's had 192 plate appearances so far this year since being called up from the minor leagues, and he's walked twice. That's amazing.
Well, he has alternated between second in the lineup and first in the lineup. Waiting on a 1-2 from Sanchez, and he'll throw back. 11 steals this year for Eaton, who continues to be a thorn in the Tigers' side.
If Anibal Sanchez decides to throw a breaking ball here in this particular count, that would aid Eaton in stealing second base if he's going to go on this next delivery from Sanchez.
Runner bluffing, and it's pounded foul back out of play.
Yeah, Eaton took about 3 hard steps towards second base, then he stopped. A lot of times, Mario, at this particular time when the game starts at 7, the field is still a little bit wet, the track's still a bit wet because they put down some water before the game starts, and I think he might have slipped on that first attempt to steal second there.
See what his thoughts are now. McCann, of course, outstanding behind the plate. Runner holds and a ball high. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And that last fastball up in the strike zone may have been by design. And them thinking that Eaton was going to try to steal second. And that would have been a really easy ball for James McCann to throw down to second base.
That's in the air towards center field, chasing Maben back. Cameron will get there. And Eaton will retreat. 1 gone here in the first. We'll bring up Melky Cabrera. Cabrera batting .312, having another solid season offensively. This guy's always been able to hit. This year, no different. 10 for his last 21 for the outfielder.
He's been their hottest hitter. He has been raking lately.
Runner goes, and it's fouled back out of play.
Eaton trying to steal second base, but he already should be on second base. Take a look at the lazy fly ball to the outfield. When you're on first base and there's nobody out, when you see that Maben's going to catch this ball, he should have been back already at first base, because that was a lazy pop-up deep to center field. He could have tagged up there and gotten to second base on that fly ball.
Yeah, put yourself in scoring position for your 3-hole hitter. 0-1 on Melky Cabrera. Fouled straight back, 0-2.
All of Anibal Sanchez's fastballs have been up in the strike zone. I wonder if that's by design here early in the contest against the White Sox, or if he's having difficulty of getting the ball down.
Well, Sanchez in his last 4 starts has an ERA of north of 8. McCann relaying the signs. Here comes another elevated pitch. Swing and a miss, struck him out. 2 gone.
It's a nice 4-seam fastball coming out of the hand of Sanchez right to the glove of McCann and right by one of their hottest hitters in Melky Cabrera.
That'll bring up Jose Abreu, who in the last couple of years has really done well against Sanchez. 8 for 14, as you see there, and the Tigers in general. Runner goes. Here's McCann's throw. It's not in time. Eaton with a stolen base.
Well, if you're Brad now, you're wondering if you still want to pitch to Abreu or pitch around him to get to Morneau after the steal of second by Adam Eaton. That would be his 12th of the year. This much we do know. Last year and the year before that, the way Abreu played against the Tigers, they most definitely would walk him in this situation.
Yeah, this year not so sure. He is 2 for his last 18. Has not been on the pace that he's established his first 2 years. And that's driven in the air to center. Maben has room on this one, and that'll end the inning. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left. We go to the bottom of the first. the bottom of the first here at the ballpark. The starting lineup for the Tigers, presented by the Southeast Michigan Ford dealers. It'll be Kinsler, Maven, Cabrera in the top 3 spots. No changes there. You got Vimart DHing. Upton is up behind Victor in the 5th spot. Collins in right. McCann, Romine, Iglesias rounding it out. McCann really hot his last 4 games. No Nick Castellanos in the ballgame tonight. He gets a rest. They are facing the right-hander James Shields.
And you can take a peek at his numbers combined between San Diego and now with the Chicago White Sox. Not very good, but in his last 6 starts, he has been spectacular. A 1.71 ERA for James Shields. He's got a fastball, gets up to 93. He's got a real good changeup and a curveball and also a cut fastball, part of his 4-pitch mix.
Kinsler was 2 out of 11 in the series over the weekend against Houston. They'll look at a ball inside from Shields. Ian followed by Maven and then Cabrera.
And pretty much playing Ian straight up in the infield.
And Sales inside again, 2-0.
If Kinsler get a fastball here from James Shields, he's going to hit it hard somewhere. That's one of the things that Ian has done very well this year. He's got those 2-0, 2-1 fastballs. He hasn't missed them.
Checked it and he looked at a strike. 2-1. Shields' run has been a whole lot better of late. When he first came over from San Diego, man, he really struggled.
He sure did.
High drive, right field. That'll chase Adam Eaton back to the warning track, and in front of the wall, 1 gone.
Whoa, ball flying here tonight early. Let's take a look at the Chicago White Sox starting defense. It is brought to you by Tim Hortons. They've got Cabrera in left. They've got Tilson in center field making his major league debut. Eaton in right field. Saladino and Anderson up the middle. Frazier, Abreu on the corners. And Navarro, he is a catcher here tonight. He's kind of rediscovered his fastball, Mario. Fastball still not quite what it was about 3 or 4 years ago, but he's got a lot of confidence in that 4-seam fastball at about 92 miles an hour. He's throwing a lot of strikes, and it's allowed him to get to his changeup in his last 6 starts, and he's been sensational.
There's another ball hit to right field, chasing Eaton back again to the warning track. 2 gone.
Here's the last 6 starts for the Chicago White Sox turned in by James Shields. A 1.71 ERA, the whip just a shade over 1, and the batting average, opponent's batting average on balls put in play, that would be BABIP, is just 206. How about the first 15 starts of the year combined with San Diego? They were hitting 341 against some balls put in play.
Yeah, and really his first couple of starts with Chicago, you can even narrow it down a little bit more. His first 3 starts with the White Sox, his ERA was over 21. How about that? You come to a new club and you put up a 21 ERA in 3 starts.
And Don Cooper had a real nice conversation with him before the game today. He's the pitching coach of the White Sox, and he said most of Shields' issues, Mario, in those 4 games, that 4-game span, 1 with San Diego and 3 with his team, he said it was pretty much between his ears. He said they did nothing mechanical to get him back on track, but it was just the way that he was thinking about pitching.
Well, it's amazing because here's a guy that's been in the big leagues a long time. He's made 30 starts, 32, 33 starts every year. And you could still have bouts with trouble with confidence. Here's the 1-1 to Miggy, and he hits a bullet into left, a base hit.
Miggy pulls the ball more against James Shields than he does any other right-hander than I can remember. I did a piece on him in the pregame show and talked about him pulling everything that Shields throws. Miggy opens up the hips every single time on James Shields, and he gets the barrel of the bat into the hitting zone, and he catches it out front, and he hits him extremely hard.
.377 now against Shields. Those numbers updated. 3 home runs. That'll bring in Victor Martinez now, and they play the shift on defensively to the right side. And Vimard looks at a ball outside, 1-0.
Don Cooper also said today, Mario, that for the first 4 starts that he made, he didn't really say anything to Shields. And when you got a guy that's 34 years old that's made as many starts and had the kind of success that Shields has had, you kind of let them work their way out of it. But he said after that 4th start, that's when they kind of started to talk a little bit, and that's where they kind of got things straightened out.
Here's the 1-0. Well, and it always brings up the point of when you're a coach at this level, when do you make a move like that? I mean, especially when you're dealing with a veteran guy.
Yeah, I think veterans, you wait a little while, as he did with Shields. But when you have a younger player, no need to wait. You can pretty much talk to the younger player, a lesser established player.
It's been a frustrating season for Robin Ventura and the White Sox. That is pulled foul just outside of the bag at first. The White Sox got off, as you remember, to that red hot start. They were 23-10. Everybody was loving the Sox on the south side. And then all of a sudden, well, they kind of hit the skids.
Yeah, the first month of the season, they were talking about an all-Chicago World Series this year.
That's right. I forgot about that with the Cubs doing so well over the National League.
Yeah, Cubbies are still holding their own.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Victor. That's outside. Run the count to 2-2. Now, we have seen teams play the shift on against Martinez, but where their second baseman is playing right now, very few have played this deep in right field. And Saladino's way out there.
Well, Saladino, where he is right here, as you pointed out, it appears that he's in that area because it gives him a lot more range and mobility in the outfield. And maybe if Victor does hit something in that direction, he could run it down because he's playing so deep. The game has really changed for a lot of left-handed batters with the shift the last number of years. Some of the left-handers' numbers have really plummeted, especially the guys that are reluctant in going the other way.
And of course, it's a defense that is hoping you will go the other way to keep you in the ballpark, especially in terms of the big power hitting left-handed batters. Here's the 2-2, and it's low, bounce again. 3 balls and 2 strikes on Martinez.
Victor is batting left-handed. This is exactly what he does when he puts the ball in play. He pretty puts it in play 33% of the time, right where Saladino is standing.
It's all about playing the numbers.
Yep. And especially a hitter like Victor that has compiled a lot of data.
Runner goes on 3-2, lost in ball 4. And the Tigers have a 2-out threat going here. We'll bring up Justin Upton. Jeff Glover and Associates brings you the scouting report on J-Up. Numbers in July in terms of the hard hit ball rate jumping up in the month of July, and that's something we noticed. Although his average has not gone up exponentially, we have noticed that, man, he's hit a lot of balls right on the screws.
Yeah, he has still hitting some tough luck in the month of July, but he is starting to hit the ball a lot harder, as those numbers pointed out. Tremendous bat speed for Justin Upton. Tigers are doing a really nice job of making Shields get the ball up in the strike zone here in the first inning. That is one of the scouting reports on him as he struggles early in games with his command.
Justin 5 for his last 11 at bats. High towering fly ball to left field. Cabrera going back to the track into the sunlight, makes the catch to retire the side. Tigers strand a pair. On Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Comerica Bank. Raise your expectations of what a bank can be when it's time. Come to Comerica. And by Dodge. Find your summer performance great deals at the Dodge Summer Clearance Event. Back here at the ballpark on another great night for baseball here in the Motor City. The month of August is upon us. And the Tigers and White Sox hooking up in the start of a series here in Detroit. Justin Morneau leads it off for the Sox.
And Tigers have a chance to try to catch the Cleveland Indians in the month of August. They play 19 games here at Comerica Park in August.
And they have been really good at home. Numbers are higher across the board at home here, but obviously they feel more comfortable in this park. Morneau waits on a 1-1. 1-2 on the former Minnesota Twin.
Back-to-back changeups thrown to Justin Morneau and located beautifully and down and away from the left-handed batter.
That one sails outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Sanchez allowed a single and a steal in the first, but no damage. Morneau sends a ground ball up the middle. Iglesias. 1 away.
I was talking to James McCann in the clubhouse today, and I was asking him what he would try to do with Sanchez today, because Sanchez has struggled all year. Everybody knows that. And he said that he was encouraged by Sanchez's last outing against the White Sox. He thought that he had a much better tempo. He thought he was working a lot quicker, and he thought because of that he wasn't thinking as much, and he made some nice pitches in the game. He still gave up 4 runs, but 3 of the runs came on a home run.
Yeah, 3-run shot by Eden, a single by Abreu in the first. It was 4-0 after 2, but after that he pretty much slammed the door.
Yeah, James told me that every now and then with the hip turn that Sanchez utilizes, every time he'll go too slow, and then when he goes too slow, when he does get ready to throw the ball, his arm never catches up, and that's why he leaves so many balls up in the strike zone, and he's given up quite a few home runs the last couple of years. So we'll see if he continues to have that good tempo tonight.
Well, here's the guy that's hit quite a few homers this year. That's Frazier, who has hit 29 long balls.
He's also driven in 67 runs. I was surprised that Frazier's name wasn't thrown out there a little bit more yesterday at the trade deadline.
You know, it's funny, you look at his numbers, 29 homers, a lot of RBIs, but only a .211 batting average. The 0-2 straightened him up.
How do you feel about that? Do you feel like the batting average is overrated these days when you see a guy on August 2nd with 29 and 67?
I do. Because in the end it's all about scoring runs, and this guy drives in runs. I think batting average, like wins in pitching, may be slightly overrated. That's in the air toward left. Upton coming in, and there are 2 gone. We'll bring up Deanna Navarro. Well, the Tigers got a little bit of good news today in that they will get Jordan Zimmermann back to pitch the Thursday game, and who knows, J.D. Martinez might be back as well.
Yeah, that's what Brad said today. We watched Zimmermann throw his bullpen this afternoon, and then after he got through his bullpen, that's when they announced that he would make the scheduled start on Thursday afternoon against the White Sox.
Strike called on Navarro.
Anibal Sanchez doing a real nice job of spotting that fastball on the outside black to a lot of these left-handed batters in the starting lineup so far tonight.
Whistled foul down the right field line.
And here's Jordan Zimmermann earlier today under the watchful eye of Rich Doobie, the pitching coach.
What an arm, what a return to the Tigers rotation that would be. Swing and a miss. Navarro leaves the strike zone. A 1-2-3 for Anibal Sanchez, including his 2nd strikeout of the game. Bottom of the second here at the ballpark. By the way, stay tuned to Tigers Live following the game. That's when we select the Fox Sports Detroit Tigers Player of the Game presented by McDonald's. Stop by for your breakfast favorites now being served all day. And when we get Rod Allen to the postgame show, who do you think will be the Tigers Player of the Game?
Today I'm going Anibal Sanchez. I'm going way out of the box today. Way off the page.
I got this guy right here, Tyler Collins. He stands in to lead things off.
That's a good pick. TC's been on fire lately when he's gotten a chance to play.
I like to follow the trends.
And he looks more comfortable to me right now in the batter's box. And I remember him ever looking as far as a big leaguer. He just looks like he is doing very well. And his numbers since the break kind of validate that point. Over 300 with 3 long ones and 8 driven in.
Had a chat with Tyler the other day, and we were talking about his recent stretch and the fact that since coming back from the minor leagues, he's been playing so well. And he told me, he said, you know, this is really the first time that I really believe that I'm part of this ball club and feel like I'm part of this ball club.
Right.
Now, some of that have maybe to do with the fact that he's playing well, but I think more so because of what happened earlier this year in the outfield and the gesture that he made and the brouhaha about that. You know, he went down and kind of reset, and now he feels pretty good about himself.
And he's playing some really good baseball, not only on the offensive side, but also on the defensive side.
Base hit up the middle.
Right on cue.
Leadoff man on here in the second.
Appeared to be a changeup. That is the signature pitch thrown by James Shields. You can see it coming out of his hand. And this one stayed up a little bit longer for Tyler Collins to kind of get to it. Most guys, Mario, when they see a changeup, they're out on their front foot because they're fooled because they think it's a fastball coming. That's what the changeup is designed to do. But as you saw there with Tyler Collins on that swing, he was still able to keep the hands back, and that's why he was able to hit that ball up the middle.
Here is James McCann with the leadoff man on. Showing bunt. In the first start that Shields made against the Tigers, he threw a bunch of changeups. In fact, I believe he threw 30 changeups in that game. The Tigers were all over him that night. And he threw fewer changeups in his last start, and he got the better of the Tigers.
Kind of reestablished his fastball. Not only his 4-seam fastball, but his 2-seam fastball and his cutter.
Fly ball in the air toward right. Eaton has been busy so far.
Here's a start that James Shields had against the Tigers. This was on June 13th, right after he came over from the San Diego Padres, and they just wore him out. He did not stay in the game very long. Everything was flat. Everything was over the heart of the plate. And that was a James Shields, Mario, that I think that we both agreed we'd never seen before. He really struggled.
Ever. And you know what? After his first start following the trade, they booed him off the field in Chicago.
Yeah, they did.
But he has really since turned things around. Romine playing third base tonight for Castellanos.
James Shields is nearly impossible to run on. One, he's got really quick feet, and he can pick you off if you get off the base too far. And on top of that, he's got a real nice slide step, which means he's getting the ball into the catcher's hand in a timely manner. And Navarro, although doesn't throw great, and Shields gives him enough time to throw.
Two 2-0 on Romine. Castellanos got the night off tonight, and part of that was due to the fact that he is 1 for 16 career against Shields.
Yeah, Shields has given Castellanos fits with that changeup this year. And Brad said, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and give you the night off tonight. You know what we like to say, the computer spit him out tonight.
That's right.
The numbers didn't equate.
Runner goes. Here's the throw down to second, and he's out at second base. I don't know. Ryan O'Nora called him out. We'll see. Tigers may want to challenge this. Navarro, pretty good throw.
Yeah, we just talked about the fact that it's very difficult for guys to steal on Shields. He gets the ball to home plate quickly. Here's a pretty good throw by the catcher, Navarro. It is right on the bag, and the tag applied there by the youngster Anderson.
It's a good challenge here for the Tigers. I think he got in there. Right there ahead of the tag. Well, I think he got in.
He may have. It's a better look right here. Ooh, it's going to be close.
It is. Tigers feel it's worth the challenge here in the second. Brian O'Nora, Jeff Kellogg, the two umpires with the headsets on now as New York takes a look at it. That angle seems to indicate he was there.
Yeah, that's the angle that they're showing on the scoreboard here, and you can hear the fans cheering the fact that they believe that this is going to be overturned.
Anderson's left leg is blocking the tag there.
For you kids at home, when you see Anderson, the shortstop, and how he is straddling that bag, taking that throw from the catcher Navarro, this is exactly what you're taught to do. You straddle that second base bag, and then when that ball gets all the way to you, all you do is drop the tag. But Anderson a little tardy in getting the tag there, but that's exactly where you want to be when taking that throw from the catcher. You want to be all the way to the bag, so all you have to do is catch it and drop the tag on it.
A lengthy review.
Yeah, they're having a difficult time with this one.
Judging by the replays, nothing is really cut and dry, although I'll maintain he was safe. We'll see. The call on the field was out by Brian O'Nora. And the result is out at second base. The call will stand. And Brad shakes his head.
It looked like he could have gotten in there, but just maybe not enough evidence to overturn that call. Collins feels like he was safe. Just so tough to tell if the foot really gets on the bag before the tag is applied to the knee of Collins.
Meanwhile, Romine takes a strike to run it to 3-1. 2 minutes 10 seconds on that review. Romine hammers it to right, but it's straight at Eaton, and that's going to end the inning. No runs, one hit, nobody left, two in the books. All right, fellas, it is scoreless as we go to the top of the third. Charlie Tilson is making his big league debut, and there's his first big league hit. He pulls it right by Ian Kinsler, a leadoff single in the third.
Well, the things that we heard about Tilson, the youngster they just acquired in a trade, and now playing in the big leagues, his major league debut. First hit. Congratulations from Miguel Cabrera.
Oh, man.
How about that?
You know, we've seen a couple of them on this homestand for the Tigers. The kid Bregman for Houston got his first major league hit.
Yeah. Hit the ball hard on the ground. He's got real good speed. Not a lot of power, but he can really run, and they say he's really good in center field.
Did you read what Miggy told Bregman after he got his first big league hit?
I did not. What did he say?
Only 2,999 more to go.
The way they've been pumping up that young kid Bregman, I wouldn't doubt it. It took him a long time to get that first hit, about 18 at bat.
Yeah, it was.
It's something when you get it your first time.
Here's Saladino. 255 average as Tilson draws another throw. He will run. As we talked about, his speed was his main asset in the minor leagues. Sanchez doing all he can to keep him close. Swing and a miss. Saladino playing second base these days. He is a shortstop by trade, but Brett Laurie went on the disabled list. In fact, he got hurt when the Tigers were in Chicago on the last road trip. Little pop-up, shallow center field. Maben coming on. One gone. They'll bring up Adam Eaton.
Now, Eaton might just take one pitch or maybe even two pitches to give Tilson an opportunity to maybe steal his first big league base. And he talked about his speed. He had 15 steals this year in Memphis in AAA before he was called up today.
Eaton had a single, stole a base in the first.
It's a nice job there by Anibal Sanchez. You don't have to have a great move to really slow down the running game. One of the things that a lot of pitchers have started to do is hold the baseball for about 5 seconds, just as Anibal Sanchez did before the timeout was called by Adam Eaton, the hitter.
Ball one.
Max Scherzer was the best at that. When Max first got to the Tigers, they were running on him at will, but then he finally adopted that delivery where he just held the ball on the mound, and teams stopped running as much on Max after he really was able to slow the running game down.
It was almost as if Max did it out of necessity. Here's a quick pitch outside, and the count goes 2-0.
Max used to say it seems like an eternity if you're holding the ball on the mound for about 4 seconds. But what he did is he used to hold it in between starts when he was in the bullpen. He'd hold it for 7 seconds. So then when he got on the mound, the 4 seconds didn't seem like it was that long.
A little bit outside. 3-0 now on Eaton.
Anibal continues to work these left-handers away with his fastball, but he's missed to Eaton.
Tim Anderson waiting on deck. We're in the third tonight. No score. He'll take a 4-pitch walk. That'll put 2 men on here with 1 out. First walk of the night now for Sanchez. Now he'll deal with Anderson, the shortstop.
Anderson is a really good fastball hitter. He has really quick hands and does not miss fastballs when you throw them over the plate. But if you throw him some breaking balls, he will chase and he will miss some of those pitches. It might be what Anibal does here with a runner in scoring position. Change-ups and breaking balls to the youngster Anderson.
Occasional power this year. 5 home runs. Swings and misses 0-1.
And first pitch will cut fastball, slide piece at 87 miles an hour, located beautifully away from Anderson. No need to throw him a strike. You could extend the strike zone, expand the strike zone, and see if you can get him to swing out of the zone.
That'll get back out of play. 0-2 on Anderson.
It's a beautiful weather night here tonight, buddy.
Well, I'm here to tell you, you can't get better than this. Temperature in the low 80s here this evening. clear skies. Of course, the last time the Tigers and White Sox played, we had about, what, 4 hours worth of rain delays.
Yeah, it was a long weekend.
In that 4-game series, the heat index reached about 109, 110. It's beautiful. The 0-2 is high, 1-2.
That's a nice job here by Sanchez. 0-2 count upstairs. You still don't have to throw him a strike. You can throw that slider outside, or you can climb the ladder with another fastball to see if you can get Anderson to chase something.
Two on with 1 out. We're in the 3rd. Anderson will step up. How long route do you think it takes young guys to figure out what, especially young guys, new guys in the big leagues, what opposing pitchers are trying to do to you?
Well, it kind of depends on what your level of experience is. In Anderson's case, he didn't play a whole lot of baseball growing up.
Bouncing ball to second. Kinsler fires to Iglesias, and a double play.
Beautifully done there by the Tigers, turning another double play.
That one goes 4-6-3, hard hit ball. Nice turn. Bottom of the 3rd here at Comerica Park, and Fiesta Tigres is Saturday, August 6th. Tigers battle the New York Mets at 7:10. The first 10,000 fans 21 and older get a free Maglio Ordonez ALCS figurine. Visit Tigers.com or call 866-66-TIGER. Pretty sweet.
Maglio was a good Tiger. Won a batting title. Good player. Great person, too. Real good teammate.
Strike called on Iglesias, who gets it going here in the 3rd. Maglio is just one of those guys that could just flat out hit.
He could, man. He really could. And when he really started to drive that ball to right field, his numbers really increased.
Speaking of hitting ball to right field, Iglesias has done a lot of that. And Iggy batting .257. He's got a 13-game hitting streak against the White Sox going.
Last 6 weeks overall, Iglesias really has perked up as far as his offensive numbers are concerned.
There's one up the middle for Saladino, one gone. Time out for the Bernstein advantage. We want to talk about James Shields. That fastball average is, well, it's kind of declined.
Yeah, it really has. Shields used to be a guy that was 96, 97 when he came to the big leagues with the Tampa Bay Rays. Now the velocity has gone down, but one of the things that he's worked on his last 6 starts where he's been really good, he's worked on his fastball command. And if you have a 91-mile-per-hour fastball and you command it, you can still have success up here.
Well, I guess when you're a guy like Shields, who has gone 9 consecutive years now of 200 or more innings, eventually that velocity is going to decline a little bit.
You're right.
The 0-1 pitch. High towering drive to left field. Down the line. That ball is hooking, and it's going to go foul. Shields very nearly touched up there. 0-2. Giggling about it now, but he almost gave up a long ball. Off speed coming up now to Kinsler, and it misses low and in.
Shields not afraid at all to throw that changeup to the right-handed batters. As a matter of fact, it's a very effective pitch for him. That righty on righty changeup.
Yank foul.
Everything that he has thrown so far, the 4 pitches to Ian Kinsler, has pretty much been on the inner third of home plate. And see what he wants to do here on the 5th pitch of this at bat. On a front door cut fastball.
Shields gave up a single and a walk in the first, a single in the second, but the Tigers have not been able to capitalize. 2-2 on Kinsler, 1 out here in the third. Three and 2 now on Ian.
He hasn't thrown many curveballs here today so far. He's thrown quite a few changeups, a lot of 4-seamers, and some cut fastballs, very few curves.
Popped up. Left side of the infield for Anderson, and Ian has gone 2 away.
Well, we told you that Shields has made 2 starts this year against the Tigers. One not so good, but this last one he was pretty good. Reestablishing that fastball velocity at 93, 94, which allowed him to get to that change piece. And the Tigers could do very little with James Shields that evening in Chicago.
It'll bring up Cameron Maybin. When the White Sox acquired Shields, they felt that they had a chance.
Yeah, they were still in it at that time.
They sure were. I mean, they started 23-10. They had built a 6-game lead. There's a ball outside, and that was still early on in May. Then things started to unravel. Since that 6-game lead in early May, they've gone 28-44. Cameron back out of there, 2-0.
It's kind of hard to believe that they would struggle that mightily, though, with the roster that they have in Abreu. They've got a Frazier, they got a Melky Cabrera. Eaton's doing very well.
Chris Sale.
Yep. Quintana.
2-1. And everybody that had seen the White Sox early in the season raved about the mix that they had on that team. How they were playing so well, the energy with the team.
Yeah, everybody said they look like they're for real after they got off to that April start of 17-8.
Here's the 3-1. 3-2 on Maybin.
Maybin gets lots of hits to right field, especially with 2 strikes. Really loves hitting at Comerica Park. It's spacious, and he has gone foul line to foul line with a lot of hits.
Lost him, ball 4. So the Tigers have had at least 1 base runner in every inning, but this will prolong the inning for Cabrera.
Maybin's got some really good speed at first base, and he's stolen quite a few bags already this year. But does he run with Miguel in the batter's box, especially with the kind of success that Miguel Cabrera has had in his career against James Shields?
Well, I mean, the guy behind him this year is having a good year in Martinez. So I would think the Tigers might be a little bit more inclined to do so if they wanted. But the numbers you bring up, the Shields Cabrera matchup, so heavily in Miggy's favor in terms of, you know, driving in runs, hitting for high average.
And we do know, because we've seen Miguel do it quite often, he can drive Cameron Maybin in from first base with ease.
In there, a strike call.
It's a huge hole in left center field for Miguel Cabrera. He always hits a lot of balls in that direction anyway against James Shields. Eaton, the center fielder, shedding him into right center field. But we've already told you today that Mickey, when he goes up against Shields, he pulls the ball more so than he does against any other righty. Tilson in center, excuse me. Eaton's over in right field.
Ground ball pulled again. This one to the shortstop, Anderson. And Cabrera's out to end the inning. No runs, a walk, one man left. To the fourth we go. All right, guys, right. You had stretches where the ball looked like a beach ball.
Every now and then, you could go up to the plate and you could have a lot of success over the course of a couple of days. And right now, Kepler is on fire.
He also hit the home run against Frankie Rodriguez on the last homestand. But here are the standings. The Tigers trying to gain a game on Cleveland tonight. 4 games back.
For whatever reason, this year, the Minnesota Twins have kind of had their way with the Cleveland Indians.
Hard to figure out because
it is.
Overall, they just have not been good. Melky Cabrera leading it off. Little chopper back up the middle, had him played perfectly. 1 out. The second time they've had a left-hander hit the ball right at Iglesias, who was shaded toward the bag. Here's Abreu. Jose Abreu fly to center field with a runner at second back in the first inning.
So far today, Anibal has been outstanding. 9 of 12 in first pitch strikes. Hasn't made many mistakes over the heart of the dish. His tempo has been outstanding. Make that 10 of 13 in first pitch strikes for the Tigers right-hander.
Here's the 0-1. Strike called. 0-2 on Abreu.
Great location, man. You cannot locate a fastball at 92 miles an hour any better than this one. 4-seam fastball right at the glove of James McCann.
Abreu has hit .320 with 9 homers career against the Tigers, including at least a couple that I can remember over the center field wall at .420 out there.
He sure did go over that .420.
The 1-2. Whistle down the right field line, slicing away from Collins. It's a fair ball up against the wall. Abreu is on his way to second, and he is in with a 1-out double.
It's another four-seam fastball. You can see where he's across the seams. He tries to throw this ball back to the outside corner, but a real nice swing put on it by Abreu, who does a very nice job with 2 strikes. You can see how deep he allowed that ball to get in the strike zone, and before he put that really good swing on it, slicing it and down in the right field corner.
Justin Morneau is 0 for 1 with a ground out. Morneau fouls it away, 0-1.
Morneau's had a real nice career and started out in Minnesota. He was making the All-Star team every single year. MVP in Minnesota. He and Justin Morneau. I mean, he and Mauer, the M&M boys. Remember that?
They were terrorizing people.
They sure were for about 5-6 year span there.
Especially in that Metrodome.
That Homer Hanky.
Yeah. Ball would fly in that yard. Weird stuff would happen in that yard.
That may have been the best home field advantage in the history of the game.
Agreed. I just never forget the epic Monderman blow up in the dugout after the Twins had gotten him for a bunch of runs.
I remember.
He couldn't get out of his way. The 0-2 outside, 1-2. Morneau's from Canada, played a lot of hockey as you might expect as a kid, but also played as much baseball as he could. Not the type that you and I maybe played in the sandlots, but a lot of wiffle ball is what they played. And he feels that certainly helped him in hitting breaking balls. The 1-2 is off the end of the bat.
I can vouch for that because growing up at the boys club in Santa Monica, California, and we played a lot of wiffle ball. We had a lot of wiffle ball tournaments and stuff like that, and it really helped you with your hand-eye coordination. And then obviously, if you played baseball, it was going to help you.
Yeah, because you can make a whiff ball do a whole lot of things.
And that thing was floating all over the place.
The 1-2 is slapped out of play again. So growing up in Canada, his favorite player was a Montreal Expo for the most part in his career.
Outfielder, infielder.
Outfielder.
Outfielder. Ellis Valentine.
Nope. Larry Walker.
Larry Walker.
A fellow Canadian.
Yeah.
Went on to play with the Rockies as well. Up high, and the count now goes 2-2.
See, had you said Rocky, I would have got that.
Yeah, because you.
Yeah,
that's
you
true.
threw me off there.
Yeah, you're right. He also, like John Olerud, who played for a spell with the Blue Jays.
He could hit 2.
Here's the 2-2. Outside, 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Anibal got ahead of Morneau. No balls, 2 strikes. It continues to try to climb the ladder with fastballs, but Morneau continues to lay off of them, and now the count sits 3-2. Might want to go to an off-speed pitch here.
Morneau continues to give him fits. That'll bring McCann out to the mound to have a chat with Sanchez.
Well, they just want to make sure they're on the same page here. And they want to make sure that the next sign that he puts down, even if he doesn't put down a sign with Abreu standing at second base, he wants to make sure that he and Hannibal Sanchez are on the same page.
A couple of native Cubans having a little chat, Abreu and Iglesias. And he lost him, ball 4. 2 on, 1 out. Time now for T-Mobile's greater coverage of baseball. Here are some of the notable deals from yesterday.
Yeah, Texas Rangers did pretty well for themselves. They got Jonathan Lucroy. They also got Carlos Beltran. They also got themselves a pitcher, Jeffries. And from Milwaukee, Francisco Liriano. He moves to Toronto. How about the San Francisco Giants, man? Every year they go out and get that one piece. They got themselves a good pitcher. But a lot of guys on the move yesterday. Who do you think won the day yesterday?
I'm going to go with Texas.
Texas?
Yeah. There's a strike called on Frazier, but I thought they probably need a little bit more help in the rotation.
That's a great point.
But their lineup's going to be good.
Yeah. And of course, Cleveland, they really helped themselves out with the trade of Andrew Miller. They could have gotten a whole lot better had Lucroy decided to take their deal. That was announced a couple of days prior to him turning it down.
The 0-1 in the air to center field, right at Maben. And that is out number 2. Frazier is 0 for 2.
What was your take on Lucroy? Yeah, not going to the Cleveland Indians. Did you have a problem with it, or do you feel like he exercised his right?
He exercised his right, Rod. But here's my whole deal on that. I hear a lot of guys, most guys say the most important thing to them is winning a world championship. You know, getting that ring. That's what they play the game for. And here's a guy that had a chance to get to a team that had a pretty good shot of getting to the postseason and going beyond. But the financial aspect of it came into play. So I have a hard time reconciling the two. But you're right. He just exercised what was in his contract. He had a no trade clause, you know, to Cleveland. So, I mean, you got to respect that. But I think in the end, man, if you're playing for a ring, you got to go, don't you?
And I think his agent may have told him, Mario, even if you veto this deal, you're still not going to be a Milwaukee Brewer. You're still going somewhere else.
Yeah, true.
Because there were so many teams in on Lucroy. And it happened that Texas Rangers were the team.
That's going to drop, base hit. Collins comes over to play it on 2 hops. A run will score. The throw to third base, not in time. It'll be an RBI hit for Deandre Navarro, and the White Sox have a 1-0 lead.
Anibal Sanchez has thrown a lot of four-seam fastballs. This one is right down the middle on the inner third, and a big, huge swing by Navarro, but he kind of hit this ball down on the label. And right in front of Collins in right field. Abreu with 2 outs. Pretty good jump off second base, able to score really without a play. However, a little closer play at third.
Yeah. Much closer than I thought it would be. Navarro RBI 27. Tilson looks at the ball high. Charlie had a single in his first major league at bat back in the third. He was acquired from the Cardinals for Zach Duke, a left-handed reliever. And the trade got Tilson to the big leagues. Swing and a miss. 1-1.
How about Tilson? You're sitting in the bushes yesterday. You're a minor leaguer. You're playing in AAA. You're having a good year, and then you get the call. You've been traded to the Chicago White Sox, and guess what? You're going to the big leagues.
Not only that, but it's his hometown team. He went to New Trier High School in Winnetka. Slow tapper hit to second, and they'll get the force to tie the side. Chicago settles for 1. One nothing as we go to the bottom of the fourth. Here is the Chevy Silverado, most dependable player, and we're going to show you Victor Martinez's batting average against the White Sox since 1940.
Wow, he's at the top of the list there. Take a look at some of the names on that. Though you got Wade Boggs at 332. And then you've got Harvey Keene at 328.
And Ted Williams cap's pretty good.
Yeah, I heard that. He was a pretty good player.
I heard that. Pretty impressive list. Here is Victor Martinez. And then Upton and then Collins. Got that big shift on where Saladino's playing short right.
Right. They've got a lot of athleticism between he and Anderson on that side.
High drive center field. Ball hit well, but a lot of room out there, and Tilson runs it down. One pitch, one out. Bring up Justin Upton.
That's got to be the most frustrating thing for a lot of these players that have power to hit a ball 410 feet from home plate, where it's a home run in most ballparks, but it lands very softly in the outfielder's gloves here at Comerica Park.
Which brings us to Upton, and what we were talking about his last time up, the fact that he's hitting some hard balls or hard hit balls, but not getting rewarded. And I wonder as a hitter if when you have it at bat like that, you come away feeling pretty good about yourself or more frustrated than good.
Well, you feel good about yourself, but trust me, you want the results. He loves hitting the ball hard, but he would love to get a few more hits to get that batting average up to an area and where he knows he should be, and that's about 275 to 280. But he has started to drive in some runs. He's up to 46 RBI. And really the next couple of months he can pay huge dividends into just how far this team goes and whether they get into the postseason or not.
So what you're saying is if you could choose between a rocket right at someone or a 72 hopper into right field.
Oh, I'll take that 72 hopper all day, every day.
Those rockets don't buy you a good contract.
And 3 times on Sunday.
The 0-2 is just off the plate, 1-2.
We're seeing a different Shields here than the Shields that we saw earlier in the year, but we're seeing more of the Shields that we saw in his last outing just a couple of weeks ago in Chicago. Lots of well-located fastballs, mixing in some changeups, an occasional curveball, but lots of cutters too.
Emergency hack there.
Here's the changeup, and we told you the fact that he's not afraid to throw this pitch to the right-handers. He's got great arm speed with it. You can see it coming out of his hand, and the way that he's gripping this one gives him that nice little fading action down in the strike zone.
Two and two now on Justin Upton. Tyler Collins will bat next. Pitch count pretty good shape for Shields. It's at 52 right now. Stayed away. 3-2. Upton is hit by a 3-2 pitch, and he'll take his base. And he's feeling it too.
It's a changeup that kind of tailed in on the elbow of Upton, and this really hurts. I've been hit in that exact same spot where Upton was hit a number of times as a player. It's right above the elbow. It's not necessarily on the elbow, but right above the elbow, and man, does it hurt.
Most guys will wear a pad, but Upton does not have that elbow pad.
No, he doesn't.
No, I guess better a changeup than a fastball in the elbow. One out base runner. Tying run is on now for Tyler Collins.
He took a long, slow stroll down to first base. That must have hurt.
Got him right in the perfect spot.
And told you Shields has a good pickoff move. Upton should not try to get too far off the base.
Collins had a single in his first at bat. He'll drive this one to left. Cabrera going back. He's retired on 1 pitch. 2 gone. He get a ticket to see the Tigers take on the Mets this Friday, 7:10 p.m. plus a 16-ounce Miller Lite for as low as $19. It's the Friday night party package. Visit Tigers.com or call 866-66-TIGER.
We know about that starting staff that the New York Metropolitans have, but they've also improved themselves offensively acquiring Jay Bruce from the Cincinnati Reds yesterday to hit behind Yoenis Cespedes in that lineup. They got better yesterday for sure.
They did. They're trying to keep their staff healthy, though.
Right.
A lot of electric arms on that staff, of which Fulmer could have been a part of, but the Tigers got him in that trade last year. For Cespedes. There's a ball outside to McCann. The Mets and the Royals, the participants in the World Series last year, showing how difficult it can be to get back there year after year. Of course, the Royals really struggling this year, and the Mets in third place in the East over the National League. Swing and a miss, 1-1. McCann flying out to right field in his last at bat. That'll go foul.
Mario, take a look at McCann here. He told me something today. Take a look at the front foot. He's going to get the front foot down in a timely manner, but he said it's not so much that. He says take a look at the hip. Now the hip's going to rotate once the ball comes down, and then focus on the hands, how they come through the strike zone here. He said what Miguel Cabrera told him in Chicago a couple of weeks ago is make sure that you use your lower half and you rotate with your back hip, and then your hands will start to get into the strike zone, and he's had some nice results on this homestand.
Runner goes. Here comes Navarro's throw. It's a poor one into center field, but it'll be backed up. Stolen base for Upton.
That swing that we showed you was on the grand slam that he hit a couple of days ago.
I don't know about you, but if Miguel Cabrera sees something, I'm probably going to listen.
Right. Wasn't it last year when J.D. Martinez was struggling too, and then Miguel kind of talked to J.D. Martinez about a few things, and J.D. went on to have another really good year.
8th stolen base for Upton. The tying run in scoring position now against Shields. McCann hit the slam on Sunday's first career grand slam. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. That'll end the inning. No runs, hit batter, 1 left. Top of the fifth, we check in now with Kristen Keith, who has more on how the White Sox approach the deadline.
Hey Mario, it was actually quite a surprise that the Southsiders stayed quiet at the trade deadline, especially with all the rumors surrounding left-handers Chris Sale and Jose Quintana. Now, Sale will pitch tomorrow and Quintana will pitch on Thursday, but we were really surprised to see them because the White Sox are on pace for their 4th straight losing season, an 8th straight season without a playoff appearance, and those were their 2 biggest names. Now, the perception is that the White Sox were just asking too much for both Sale and Quintana. General Manager Rich Hahn said if some clubs had adjusted their offers with some targets they were holding back, that could have helped in landing them a deal. Mario?
Yeah, Kristen, and I think, Rod, when you look at what those 2 guys could bring, I mean, that is a huge haul. But if you take those 2 guys out of your rotation, man, the rest of the summer is going to be really long.
Yeah, it would have been a bad summer for sure. And the fans probably would have stopped coming to the ballpark. There's no doubt about that. It's hard to trade a number 1 starter like a Chris Sale, but if you get back enough really good players like they got in New York for the deals they made for Miller and also for Chapman, then you have to consider it.
Yeah. Well,
it was a high stakes game of poker though last couple days though.
Yeah, always interesting to hear the stories that come out after the deadline. Leadoff single by Saladino. Here is Adam Eaton. White Sox now have 5 hits against Sanchez. Eaton with a walk, a single, and a steal. He just continues to get it done against the Tigers. He is now 7 for 14 against the Tigers in the last 2 series. 1 ball to no strikes. Eaton also against Sanchez is now 7 for 15. The 1-0 down the left field line, slicing foul. Souvenir. I don't know, how do you approach a guy like Eaton? I mean, a guy that has tortured your pitching staff all season long, a guy that really can hit the ball to all fields. Is there a way to attack this guy?
Well, I'd like to think that you could throw him away, at least get him thinking that way, that you're going to pitch to his strength, and then you start to throw him some really slow breaking balls. You get him on that front foot, see if you can ground him out to the second base or to the first baseman. You have much better success against Eaton when you make him pull the baseball. If you throw it outside, that's his strength. He just slaps those balls to left field.
Runner goes. Ball high, throw down, tag, not in time. Stolen base, Saladino is 6th. Second steal of the night for the White Sox.
And pretty good jump by Saladino. Ball was up in the strike zone, but it appeared that McCann didn't really have a good handle on it. He bounced it down to Iglesias. Iglesias with the real fast hands and a quick tag, but not before Saladino slides in safely.
3-1.
Anibal Sanchez is pitching too carefully to Adam Eaton. Yes, he has really good numbers against Anibal Sanchez, and he is hitting for more power, but he's not known as a power hitter.
And he lost him.
Yeah, Rich Doobie going to have to go out and visit Sanchez here now.
3rd walk of the game for Sanchez, 2 of them against Eaton, who's been on base 3 more times tonight.
Maybe not just yet.
Tim Anderson will check in. Anderson hit into a double play, which would look pretty good right here with nobody out. That was back in the 3rd, ending that inning.
And the bunt is in order here. And he has 3 sacrifice bunts. That is Anderson since coming to the big leagues. Romine at third base, looking like he is not anticipating a bunt from Anderson, though.
No sign of one, and he fouls it straight back 0-1. Anderson out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Played a lot of basketball in high school and not really a whole lot of baseball. Sanchez up to 72 pitches now, and they got a runner caught up between third and second base. A poor throw by Sanchez, but they'll get him in a rundown. Throw to third, tag, got him.
What was with the lob to third base by Sanchez?
I don't know, but it nearly cost the Tigers. He just underhanded one into the ground.
And Saladino took off too early. Nice spin move here by Anibal Sanchez. Then he shuffles underneath the Romine. Romine gets the ball back to Iglesias, and they finally able to finish the play.
Oh, he tagged him right in the face, too.
Little leather sandwich.
Yeah, a little mayo on that leather sandwich. Runner in second now with one out. That'll help. If you're keeping score at home, and we know you are, the caught stealing goes 1-5-6-1. Missed it inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's the 1-1. Popped him up. McCann discards the mask. 2 gone. Anderson is out of there.
It's a real nice job here by the catcher, James McCann. That pop up, it's an easy play for him, but he still wanted to make sure. And then after he located the ball, he still had that helmet in his hand and his face mask, and he simply discards it far enough away from where the ball is going to make sure that he doesn't step on it. Landed right on the old English D.
Now it'll be Melky Cabrera with 2 outs.
You've got to pitch to Cabrera very carefully here. It's 2 outs. You do have a base open. You've got a right-hander in the on-deck circle, even though it's a dangerous right-hander in Abreu. Melky Cabrera has been their best hitter the last couple of weeks. You have to pitch carefully to him here, especially the way James Shields is pitching again here tonight.
Yeah, he's looked good. Strikeout, ground out for Cabrera. Sliced in the air toward left, up and going back to the track, reaching for the wall to make the catch. And the Tigers dodge a bullet there. Tigers baseball tonight presented by Bell Tire. On AFN, the American Forces Network, broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces serving around the world on land and at ships at sea. We welcome all of you and hope you're enjoying the game tonight. Tigers and White Sox 1-0. Sox have the lead as we go to the bottom of the 5th. Shields back to work. First ball hit in the air to center field. Long run, and it's going to be over the head of Tilson. Romine is on his way to third. Here's the throw. He's in there. Tilson looked like he had a beat on that ball, then it flew over his head.
Andrew Romine jumped on the first pitch fastball from James Shields and hit it into center field. Tilson, with outstanding speed, had a really nice jump, and it looked like he was going to make the play, but right there he kind of pulled up. It's almost like he forgot how big this ballpark was, and he was looking for the wall. And Romine never stopped. He's running out of the batter's box, and as soon as he got to first base, he realized that ball wasn't going to be called. He turned the Jets on.
A three-bagger for Andrew Romine. Second triple of the year. Tying run now at third, nobody out. Infield back for Iglesias.
That's something the Tigers have done a much better job of during their 6-game winning streak. The bottom of their batting order hitting about 280, driving in bunches of runs, whether it be Iglesias and whether it be Romine getting a chance to play, Saltalamacchia, or James McCann. They've been getting it done at the bottom of the order in the last 6 games.
Well, when you start doing that and you turn things over to Kinsler and Maven and Cabrera, you're going to score a lot of runs. Here's the 0-1, a pickoff throw to third, and he just got back in there.
Nearly got him.
You never see a guy throw to third.
That is a planned play here by Frazier and also James Shields. Shields held the left leg up in the air long enough, anticipating that he was going to throw that ball home, and Romine just did get back in. He really disguised that like he was going to pitch, didn't he?
It's about the only way you can get away with that. And he almost picked him off. Bouncer foul. Now the count is 0-2 on Iglesias.
And for the most part, the White Sox are conceding the run in the infield. Anything hit on the ground, and Romine will score.
Iglesias put the ball on the ground in his last at bat to the second baseman. Shields bouncing one in, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Iglesias really tough to strike out. Really, with 2 strikes, just concentrates in putting the ball in play.
If you want to be technical, he is the toughest guy to strike out in the American League. 1 every 11 plate appearances.
He's on the top of the list now, huh?
He's on the top. But he's behind in the count here, 1-2. And he sends a ground ball foul. Romine filling in for Castellanos. Triples to start the 5th. Top of the order, waiting on deck, Kinsler. Off the end of the bat, foul.
Iglesias doing everything possible and trying to drive this run in.
You know, sometimes it looks unorthodox, but he just finds a way to put the ball in play.
That's a breaking ball, and he's well out of that front foot, but he kept the bat back long enough to cue that one and then foul down the first base line.
Outfield playing shallow in center.
Everything at the bottom of the strike zone in this pitch sequence, and to Iglesias and by James Shields. Everything at the bottom of the zone. And see if he'll change an eye level here by going upstairs 1 time.
Fly ball left field. Romine tags, ball hit deep. Cabrera makes the play. He's just going to unload, and it's going to be not in time. Sac fly, and Iglesias gets it done.
What a quality at bat by Jose Iglesias.
27th RBI of the year for Iglesias. That really was good at bat.
That's the 6th sacrifice fly this year for Jose. So for a guy that hits lots of ground balls, when you get a runner on third base, he has no problem getting underneath the ball, hitting it deep enough to the outfield to make sure he scores that run.
Yeah, and in many ways, he's the guy you want up there. As we mentioned, he doesn't strike out, so he's going to put it in play and give you a shot. And that one was hit plenty deep enough. Kinsler hammers one back up the middle, base hit. One out single for Ian. Now Maben.
Cameron Maben is the perfect #2 hitter. And we talked about all the base hits that he gets the opposite way. And when Kinsler is being held on at first base and by Abreu, it's a huge hole for Maben on the right side of the infield.
Crowd's starting to make some noise now as Maben digs in.
And we'll see if he's going to shoot this hole in this direction in this at bat. Try to get in over to third base.
Maben coming into the season was a lifetime .251 hitter, and when the Tigers acquired him, I think they thought that they were getting a pretty good player. I'm not sure they felt that Maben this late into the season would continue to be well over 300. But here he is.
And I think Maben probably, Mario, getting a lot more playing time than they thought that he would get when they finally did acquire him. As we look at his hits by direction, you can see 29 times he's gotten a hit in that direction. But center field was supposed to be a platoon situation between he and Anthony Ghost this year.
And we all know that Ghost struggled, was sent down, is still down in the minor leagues. Here's a bunt, but it's going to go foul.
It's not a bad idea by Cameron. He is a good bunter, especially when bunting for a base hit and down the third baseline. But his time was supposed to be mostly against left-handed pitching this year. He's getting so many hits, and we showed you his hits by direction. That's the reason why every single defender on the field is playing Maben straight up.
Maben a walk and a fly out. Swing and a miss.
And good breaking ball there. 75 miles an hour thrown by Shields. Located beautifully down and away. Real nice spin and break on this.
Ooh, man.
Real nice.
Pretty good location too. Kinsler 10 steals this year. He's been caught 3 times. Tigers tied up on a triple by Romine, sac fly by Iglesias. Chopper to third, fair ball inside the bag. Kinsler on his way to third, maybe beyond. They're going to try and score him. Kinsler will come in to score. Maben goes to third, and the Tigers have the lead.
He tried to throw Maben another breaking ball. This time he was not successful. Same pitch, bad location. This one stayed inside long enough for Maben to turn on it. Right down the third baseline past a diving Frazier. Melky Cabrera in left field appeared to have difficulty with it. And with the speed of Ian Kinsler coming around first base, Dave Clark had no problem sending Ian Kinsler home. That's the second triple of the inning. Look at Maben. He's stirring it up. Putting the goggles on. He's beautiful, isn't he?
I'll tell you what, he's just instant energy. And what an addition he has been to this team. The perfect complement to a lot of the big hitters in this lineup. Two triples in the inning. 24 of them now for the Tigers. And Cabrera's up there with the infield in, just licking his chops right now.
Yeah, Romine got it started today for the Tigers in this inning. Brad gave him the nod over Castellanos because Castellanos has struggled against James Shields.
The second time Shields has thrown to third base.
I hope these infielders have their insurance policies updated. It was Miguel Cabrera standing in the batter's box with all the damage he's done against James Shields. They're playing in.
And a certain piece of protection on as well. There's a drive in the air to center. Tilson on the move, still going, stretching out, can't get it up against the wall.
He hurt himself, did he?
Cabrera goes to second. He'll stop there with an RBI double. An awkward tumble out there by Charlie Tilson. And he's still down.
Yes, he is. Let's take a look and see what happened here. Oh, right there, that left ankle.
Ouch.
There's Robin Ventura and Herm Snyder running out to the field.
Tilson's major league debut. He singled in his first big league at bat, and now he's appears to be injured in center field.
Take one more look at the left ankle right here and how it turns. That's exactly what he's going through right now.
You could tell it wasn't a clean dive.
He hasn't moved yet.
The Tigers have added another. They lead 3-1 now. It'll be a double and an RBI for Cabrera. And they continue to tend to Tilson out there in center field. They're going to get him to his feet. And he will not continue in this game. He could barely put pressure on him. That's a long way to walk, too. He's out there in right center field. Well, this is going to be a slow walk. So the Tigers get 2 triples and a double in this inning. And they've gotten to Shields for 3 runs here in the 5th. Meanwhile, Charlie Tilson in his major league debut will depart. Abisail Garcia now is coming out to the field, which probably means Eaton will go to center. And Garcia will play right. There is the former Tiger, Abisail Garcia. And there's Eaton now in center field.
Eaton has experience in center field. His entire big league career had been spent in center before they moved him to right field at the beginning of this season. It's a real nice gesture by the great fans here at Comerica Park. Great Tiger fans. Nice round of applause for the youngster Tilson making his major league debut here this evening.
Well, he got his first major league hit and his first major league at bat, but the downside is he'll depart with an apparent ankle injury. So the Tigers now will try and add to their 3-1 lead. And it'll be Victor Martinez to stroll in.
And we'll see if the White Sox decide to pitch to Victor Martinez with a base open and 1 out and a runner in scoring position, or if they walk him and then go after Justin Upton.
Cabrera, by the way, with 2 more hits tonight, now 67 RBIs.
And the best way for them to get out of this jam is probably put Victor on. So we'll see how it works out for him. It looks like they're going to pitch to him.
There again is the defensive alignment they played all night against Martinez. And Victor shoots it foul back to the screen.
And this time Anderson, the shortstop, is on the left side of the infield just a little bit. When the prior at bats, Anderson, the shortstop, was over on the other side of second base.
Up to 75 now for Shields. One ball, one strike. Three runs on 6 Tigers hits, a run on 5 hits for Chicago. And again, this all was started on the triple by Romine, who was playing tonight for Castellanos, who gets the night off. Now the 1-1.
Take a look at Miguel Cabrera here. This is why he's such a good base runner. He takes a look at the left fielder. He looks at the center fielder. He looks at the third baseman, the right fielder, second baseman. He wants to make sure he knows where everybody's playing, especially with all the shifts these days. And he stays with the guys until the pitch is nearly thrown to make sure guys aren't moving at the last moment. That's why he's a good base runner.
10 years ago, there wasn't a whole lot to look at. Now with the shifts, everybody's all over the place.
Yeah, and Miggy does it every at bat. He just wants, I mean, every time he's going to take a look at left field, right field, center field, just to see if guys are moving. And that can help you in getting a good jump from second base. Knowing where they're playing obviously allows you to get a better jump and possibly score.
Martinez looks at a ball low, and now the count goes 3-2 on Victor. First time that Shields has been in extreme trouble here in the 5th inning. Some stress for Shields. Upton waiting on deck. Victor, a fly out and a walk in this game. The 3-2 in the air toward left field. Cabrera's on the run. Can't get it. It'll roll by him all the way to the wall. Cabrera comes in to score, and Victor has a double and an RBI. Well, the Tigers going extra base crazy here in the 5th.
Yeah, that's the 4th extra base hit of the inning for the Tigers. And Don Cooper, the pitching coach, now going to have a visit with James Shields. Mario, I thought that they should have walked him anyway. We talked about that before Victor even stepped in the batter's box. Victor with a really good at-bat here on the changeup. That's not a horrible pitch, but Victor's just a professional hitter and slices the ball the opposite way for another RBI and a double.
So Cooper has his say. He'll depart now, and for Martinez, 15 doubles this year. Menards brings you the big money encounter. 6-game win streak for the Tigers. Here are some of the numbers. A +24 in the run differential.
Take a look at the numbers with runners in scoring position, man. 467, man.
This team right now clicking offensively.
James Shields has given the Tigers 4 runs here today. It's the first time in his last 7 starts he's given up more than 3. How about this Tigers offense, man? These guys, the last 6 games, everybody to a man, unselfishly just continuing to keep the line moving. Some great quality at bats here, and by the Tigers turned in the last week.
It's like a switch was flipped.
Victor went the opposite way for a double. Miguel went the opposite way as well for a double.
It was the 23rd pitch of the inning for Shields. And all of a sudden, a pitch count that was in pretty good shape is now starting to pile up. 2-1 on Upton. He was hit by a pitch, stole a base, but was stranded in the 4th. Now Shields taking too long, so Justin steps out.
And Shields was working with a pretty good pace out there all night long until the Tigers have got some runners on base, and he's really slowed down the pace.
Now he's gone to 3-1. Well, Matt Albert is starting to warm up. Seventh man to bat in the inning, and Upton looks at a strike. He was headed to first and called back by John Tumpane. Oh, there you go. 25 this inning now for Shields. Where up until this inning, his average was pretty good per inning. Here's a bouncing ball. Base hit right field. Martinez coming to third. He'll stop there.
How about the unselfish at-bats by the Tigers' middle 3 here today? Victor the opposite way, Miguel the opposite way, and unselfishly, Justin Upton goes the opposite way too, because he realized that James Shields was not going to come inside. Everything was inside. Away, 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 and finally hits one in the hole.
Bench applauding it. The Tigers just continue to move the line. And here is Tyler Collins. Singled in his first at bat. Fouled off, 0-1. Pretty good right here. You're talking about runners in scoring position, Rod, and since the 25th of July, 467. And tonight they're 3 for 5. In the air to shallow left.
Not deep enough.
Now with Victor at third base, he's going to bluff, but he'll hold. Runner going to second, though, and that's Upton. He'll move up. 2 gone now with runners at second and third. Tigers fans, if you can't catch the games on TV, you can stream them live on your mobile device with the all-new Fox Sports Go app. Download the app and take Fox Sports Detroit and Tigers baseball with you wherever you go.
James Shields, in his last outing against the best team in the National League, Chicago Cubbies, pitched 7 2/3 innings and gave up just 4 hits in the 7 2/3 innings. He has given up 6 hits in this inning alone to the Tigers batters.
Now McCann with runners at second and third. Swing and a miss out in front of the breaking ball.
Steady diet of breaking balls so far tonight, thrown by Shields to McCann.
Shields coming into tonight had some of his best numbers of the season, some of his better starts. And he's always been good in this ballpark.
Yeah, he's had 8 starts here at Comerica Park. He has not been beaten. And the earned run average just a shade over 2. Tigers haven't done much against Shields in this yard prior to tonight.
Slapped out of play, 1 ball and 2 strikes. All right, Comerica Park in downtown Detroit. The Tigers have put up a 4 spot here in the 5th inning. Mario and Rod, glad to have you with us. Mark Stefano is our producer. Brian Moss directing our show tonight. And after a slow start, the Tigers offense has come alive. Might as well get 2 more. Just off the plate, 2-2.
I think what the Tigers have realized the 3rd time through the batting order against James Shields, that he's not pitching inside at all. And even though he does have some decent command away from the plate,
The Tigers hitters are looking away, and they're diving out there, and guys have been successful in this inning, hitting the ball the opposite direction. Another one.
This time off the glove of Saladino into right. 1 run scores. Here comes Upton. He will score, and the Tigers get 2 more. It's 6-1.
It looked like Saladino was going to be able to make that play on the ball, hit a couple of steps to his left, but it looked like it hit the lip of the grass and bounced right over his glove. Here's another look at it. Lip right there, jumps right over the glove. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. That's 7 hits in the inning.
They're ruling that a single and 2 RBIs. (6-1). Tigers have the lead. And there's a ball outside. 9 Tigers hits now. And here's the guy that got it all started. Romine, he drives one in the air to deep right center field. Eaton is going to get back there to make the catch.
Romine got his big boy pants on today.
Oh, it's a big inning, though. The Tigers and Romine got it started with a 3-bagger. Tigers just kept going from there, and Maben knocked one in. Keep the line rolling. Cabrera, Martinez, total it up. 6-1 Tigers. Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by the Sam Bernstein Law Firm, official legal services sponsor of Fox Sports Detroit. Bell Tire, get the lowest tire price, period. Bell Tire. And by Chevrolet, more than you expect for less than you imagine. Well, looky here. The Tigers put up 6 in the 5th.
Very important here now for Anibal Sanchez here in the top half of the 6th inning to make sure that when his team gets back in the dugout after he gets 3 outs, the momentum is still on their side.
A long sit down for Sanchez, who goes to work now in the 6th inning. Abreu, Morneau, and Frazier. Tigers 6 runs, 9 hits, and the White Sox a run on 5 hits. Slow tapper hit to the shortstop. Iggy throws him out, 1 away.
Sanchez again working with a really nice tempo here this evening. If you weren't with us earlier, that's the one thing that James McCann said they wanted to accomplish with Sanchez. They wanted to have the same tempo that he had in his last start against the White Sox.
Which begs the question, you know, why aren't all pitchers kind of pushed in the minor leagues to pitch with tempo?
Well, I guess it works for some. Some guys work a little better when they have a slower delivery, but not so much with Sanchez.
It's a base hit to right field for Morneau.
Because he does have that built-in hip turn. Every now and then you can try to get too cute with it and you really slow down. And then when you come out of it, Mario, your just arm never catches up. And that's been some of his problems this year. And they feel like they have figured those out.
And Brad will probably get somebody up in the bullpen if another person reaches, because of these numbers we're showing you right now. Anibal Sanchez in the 6th inning this year.
Danger zone, 9.33.
Is that what they had on that graphic?
No, but it certainly fits. Danger, Will Robinson. 6th inning approaching. Strike one on Todd Frazier. Frazier, a couple fly balls, one to left, one to center.
Frazier's got tremendous power, but most of his power is to left field. And to have success against him, you got to make him hit the ball to right field.
Good pitch.
He's thrown some outstanding breaking balls today, whether it be the changeup or the slider. Hasn't thrown many curveballs. And going fastball up to see if Frazier will chase one.
Ooh, he almost did.
See, that's just a beautiful job of pitching. First couple of pitches at the bottom of the strike zone. We're showing that to you on Fox Tracks. And then he goes upstairs with another fastball. So you can kind of see how a pitcher like Sanchez trying to get Frazier out.
Ground ball to short. Iglesias fires to second one. Relay is a double play.
What a beautiful pitch.
That was not an easy turn either. Boy, Sanchez on a roll here tonight. Good to see. There's your 6-4-3. One as we go to the bottom of the 6th. Make sure to join us again tomorrow. Tigers will take on these White Sox. All your coverage begins from Tigers Live at 6 p.m. right here on Fox Sports Detroit. And I ask you, Ron Allen, is there going to be a better pitching matchup tomorrow night for Chris Sale and Michael Fulmer?
Nope, not at all. Tomorrow night, absolutely must-see TV. And Michael Fulmer, he'll be going up against the White Sox for the 2nd time this year. They touched him up the first time, but then he went out to Boston and was sensational. And you know how good Chris Sale is.
Really good. Well said. Windows pitching change here is Matt Albers.
And he's been in 46 games prior to this point, a 5.26 ERA for Albers. And 23 strikeouts. He's walked 16. Low 3/4 arm slot. He's got a really good sinking fastball at about 92, 93 miles an hour.
Jose Iglesias had a sac fly to knock in a run in the 5th. The 6-run 5th inning. And Iggy looks at a breaking ball low, 1-1.
Albers, the former starter, also has a slider. He has a curveball and a changeup. He doesn't use the curveball as much as he uses the slider and the change.
Bouncing ball to first. Backhanded pick by Abreu. 1 out. So Shields was cruising until the 6th inning. He's bounced out after or I should say the 5th inning. He's bounced out after 5 tonight, and Alvarez takes over here in the 6th. Here are the numbers on Shields.
Shields just did not pitch inside aggressively here today, and I think that's what allowed the Tigers to hit those, get 9 hits against them. The majority of the hits they got against them were the opposite way.
All 6 runs, earned runs. Strike 1 on Kinsler. Single run scored for Ian. A little bit outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Activity in the Detroit bullpen. The right-hander is Shane Green. I know the Tigers bullpen has had some ups and downs this year, Rod, but I think right now it's probably the best it has been in terms of guys fitting into roles right now and getting the job done. I
agree with that. It appears that a lot of guys down there know exactly when they're going to pitch, depending on whether they're winning or losing. And this ultimate stabilizer down there has been Francisco Rodriguez. And now you've got Green or Wilson, who could pitch the 8th. You have Rondon, who all of a sudden is throwing 100 miles an hour again and locating with a good slider. So you're right, the back end of that bullpen is pitching very good right now.
It's funny how that guy at the very end can stabilize things.
For sure.
And that has been a problem for the Tigers in recent years.
Shane Green is looking like he's heating up, like he's coming in for the 7th.
Right back up the middle. Saladino has trouble with this one, but he'll still throw him out.
And if he is done here today, Mario, you know what that means for me, right?
Player of the game.
Sanchez will be the player of the game today.
Wait a minute, hold on.
No.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
They're
here.
going to give it to Sanchez today.
Hold on here.
We're going to make sure of that.
Let me check my scorecard. Okay, I'll give it to you.
At least give me some credit for picking that.
I'll go. Oh, absolutely.
Huh?
You went out on a limb there, my man. Because let's be honest, the numbers recently have not been good. There had to be some Snickers.
And a ball, my man.
Here's a strike called on Cameron Maben. Two out, nobody on. Maben tripled to not get a run in the 5th. Missed it inside, 1-1. Alvarez with the 1-1 pitch. 2 balls, 1 strike on Maben, who when he first came back from the disabled list was hitting in the 7 slot. And he was hitting over 400. And people thought, man, don't move him because he's hitting really well right there. But then they moved him to number 2 and he has continued to flourish. And a ball outside. And what I like about him batting in the 2nd spot, Rod, is he can do so many things with the bat.
He can bunt. He can hit behind the runner. He can take a pitch or 2 to allow Ian Kinsler to steal. He also has no problem most of the time hitting with 2 strikes.
And he'll take a walk, 2 out base on balls. And while we have a moment, we check in now with Kristen Keith.
Thanks, Mario. Well, Miguel Cabrera is constantly providing for the Tigers, and he continued to do so on Monday despite it being an off day. Last night at Comerica Park, Miggy hosted more than 200 kids from Children's Hospital of Michigan and C.S. Mott Children's Hospital for his 8th annual Keeping Kids in the Game night. The kids were able to eat dinner with their family, and afterwards they were able to check out the field, the dugouts, the clubhouse, and interact with some of the Tigers players. It was Miggy's event, but it was really great to see so many members of the Tigers team in attendance. They took pictures, signed autographs, and number 1, they made some kids smile.
And he just might have hit a home run here, Kristen, to the wall and gone. It's a homer for Miguel Cabrera. And the Tigers have added 2 more, the 24th of the year for Miggy. That's his 3rd hit of the game.
can tell Miguel Cabrera is now very healthy. It's a two-seam fastball that just doesn't do a lot. And Miguel now, since the beginning of the 2008 season, has more home runs the opposite way than any player in the game. That is now his 11th home run to right field this season. So clearly when Miguel is hitting balls like this, Mario, the opposite direction, you can tell he is healthy.
Yeah, it's the best sign of all. It was a swing and a miss by Martinez.
I mean, for a right-hander to consistently hit balls 340 feet the opposite way like he does is amazing. His 6th home run since the All-Star break.
Ooh, he's on a tear. Single, double, and a homer in this one. Martinez doubled in a run. Popped him up. Third base side, Frazier coming over. And that'll end the inning. Not before Miggy does more damage. Cabrera. Kaboom. A 2-run shot the other way. And it's now 8-1 Detroit. Some competition now for player of the game.
No, it's going to be sentimental tonight, I think.
Miguel Cabrera with 3 hits, a home run.
They got to go with the sentimental pick tonight.
All right. I'll let you stay with Sanchez. I'm with you. It's got a wall side windows pitching change here now. So Tigers go to the bullpen. And it'll be Shane Green.
How about his numbers since July 1st? 11 games for Green, 5 holds, the ERA under 1. 10 strikeouts, just a couple of walks, and they're hitting just 147 against a fastball that gets up to 95. He's got a cutter anywhere from 89 to 91 with some good action and a couple of real nice breaking balls.
First one lined up the middle into center off the bat of Dioner Navarro.
When you throw a ball down and away to a left-handed batter, more than likely that's exactly where they're going to hit it. If they're doing things right in the batter's box, they're going to hit it right back through the center of the diamond.
Which is what Navarro did. And here is Garcia, his first at bat. We got word, by the way, on Tilson. It was not an ankle. He left with a strained left hamstring.
It's got to be ankle too, though, along with that hamstring.
Yeah, because he twisted it so badly.
And then he couldn't even walk. He couldn't put any pressure on it.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just telling what they told me.
I hear you.
He's out of the game regardless. Tigers had 10 hits tonight, by the way.
The offense is rolling.
There's a ball inside to Avisail Garcia.
And just about everybody in the Tigers lineup has gotten into the act here this evening.
They have certainly spread the wealth around.
Everybody with at least one hit, with the exception of Iglesias, and he had a sac fly.
High fly ball left field. Upton going back to the track. He's going to the wall, and that one's going to carry out and way gone.
Wow. He carried his bat halfway down the line, did Garcia.
And he's taking a slow tour around the bases as well. 2-run shot. 8-3.
It's a hanging breaking ball there thrown to Garcia, and once he left the batter's box, he knew it was gone, but he still carried the bat halfway down the line before discarding it.
There's a strike called on Saladino. Fouled back to the screen.
That is now the 6th career home run for Garcia against Detroit. That is the most that he has against any team.
The team that he first broke into the big leagues with. Bouncing ball left side, base hit. Little seeing-eyed single there for Saladino in the first 3, reaching on hits for Chicago.
I don't know what the issue here is with Green here in this particular inning, but obviously he came into a game where the Tigers are winning 8-1. It doesn't appear to be pitching with the same kind of intensity that he pitches with when he's in a 1-run game. So somehow, some way, even though the Tigers have a big lead, Green has to find that intensity here.
Kind of like when closers come in non-save situations.
That's a great point.
I know Brad still has a pretty sizable lead, 8-3, but those managers, man, they are never comfortable.
And not until the final out of the game.
They have not been able to get Adam Eaton out. He has 2 walks, a single, and a steal. And a bouncing ball to short. Iglesias ranging right. There's one. That's all they get. Eaton on base via the fielder's choice. One out now for Tim Anderson. Anderson 0 for 3 as you see Justin Wilson beginning to loosen in the Detroit bullpen. Swing and a miss, trying to hold up.
And word starting to get around very quickly against Anderson. Great fastball hitter. He's got great hands. Very quick bat, but if you throw him a breaking ball, he will swing. He's gotten a lot of breaking balls here tonight so far. Anibal threw him a few, and then Green started him off with an off-speed pitch.
Michael Inoa warming up for Chicago, the big right-hander in their bullpen. Fly ball in the air toward left field. Upton is on the move, still going back. Jay up reaches and makes the running catch. And Eaton retreats. Two gone.
It's a hanging breaking ball thrown by Green that Anderson jumped all over. A really nice jump in the outfield by Justin Upton. Able to run that ball down at the base of the wall in left center field.
That'll bring up Melky Cabrera with 2 outs. Not a whole lot going on for Cabrera tonight. He's 0 for 3 and sends a ground ball to second. And it'll be an easy play for Kinsler, and then he'll retire to side. 2 in on the home run by Garcia. we go to the bottom of the 7th, 8-3 is our score. By the way, Saturday it's a star-studded Major League Baseball showdown on FS1. Big Papi and the Red Sox will be swinging for the fences, but Adrian Gonzalez and the Dodgers are out to show they've got some power as well. Action begins Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, or watch it live on Fox Sports Go.
Big Papi headed out to Hollywood, huh?
Yep, final go-round for Big Papi. And here is Michael Inoa now for the White Sox.
Inoa not bad with the earned run average, 3.48. But he struggles against left-handers. Left-handers hitting him at a 389 clip. Much more success against righties. They're hitting only 200 against the lanky right-hander.
It'll be Upton to lead it off. It'll be Justin, then Collins, then McCann. 8 runs, 10 hits, Tigers. 3 runs, 9 hits for Chicago. Jay backs out of the way. 1 ball, no strikes. Inoa made his Major League debut against the Tigers. It was back on June 14th.
He's got a good arm. Fastball gets all the way up to 94 miles an hour. He's got a nice little slider. He also has a curveball and a changeup. He's got all 4.
He threw 2 hitless innings in that appearance against Detroit. Upton single hit by pitch and a flyout. It's in the air toward right field, slicing. Going to be a tough play. Can somebody get there? Nope, but it falls foul. Abreu tried to get there. So did Garcia. So does Saladino.
And Saladino, the second baseman, nearly took out the first baseman, Abreu, here. Take a look at this. Takes his legs underneath him right here.
One and two. It's hammered foul down the right field line. Inoa's from the Dominican Republic, Puerto Plata. Big guy, 6'7".
Long, lanky frame. Nice loose arm. Some good sink on a 94-mile-per-hour fastball. Good numbers against righties. Struggles against lefties.
Right-handers 200 this year compared to 389 to illustrate that point against lefties. Tyler Collins waiting on deck.
He's a lefty.
Swing and a miss. Pretty good cheese there at 95. 1 gone.
That is only the second Tiger to strike out here tonight. You got 2 strikeouts tonight?
Yes. 1 for Shields and 1 for Inoa.
Wow. Some great plate appearances tonight. Guys putting the ball in play unselfishly. 2 strikes.
What do you know about that? Here's Tyler Collins. There's a ball outside. Tyler was my pick for player of the game. He had a single in his first at bat.
He's going to do something right here too for you.
He's going to hit a 5-run homer right here and jump into the lead.
I'm calling double in the right center field gap.
I'll take that too. A little bit outside. 2-0. Here's the 2-0. Outside 3-0. James McCann waiting on deck. Enoa's 3-0 pitch. Tyler taking all the way, 3-1. And he walked him, ball 4.
Here is the 1-800 call Sam call of the game. How about these numbers right here? 52 runs scored for the Tigers in the last 7 games. And they only scored 20 runs in the previous 7 games before they got hot. So this offense, led by Wally Joyner and David Newhand, his assistant hitting coach, they have really gotten these guys to perk up, and they've been swinging some really healthy sticks lately.
Well, that guy right there has had a big night. Cabrera with a 2-run homer, RBI double, and a single.
I mean, you look at his numbers in July, and for the first 2 weeks, he did not do a whole lot. But you look at the last 2 weeks of July, 5 homers for Miggy, and he drove in a bunch of runs.
On fire.
And he's continued that in the month of August.
And by the way, he will get a chance at a cycle. He's got the single, double, and the homer.
So he needs a triple.
He needs a triple.
It's doable in this ballpark.
It is. Miggy can do it. McCann 2-run single at his last at bat. It'll sail outside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I got the boys in the truck looking to see whether Miguel Cabrera has ever hit for the cycle.
I kind of feel like we would know that if he did.
Yeah.
And I know he hasn't with the Tigers. They're telling us now, the crack staff down there in the truck, he's not overall in his career. Little chopper to third base. That's a fair ball. Behind the back, Frazier thought about going to second and lost the handle on it. And McCann's out, advanced the runner, 2 gone. Bring up Romine. Romine a triple in the 5th. That triple came with the Tigers down 1-0, and it started what would turn out to be a 6-run 5th inning to end the night for Shields. There's a strike. Good Bender that drops in 0-1. Managers have to just absolutely love it when they get one of their starters a day off and the guy filling in has a good game. Romine's triple, as we mentioned, got it kick started. Swing and a miss there, 0-2.
It is so tough to do what Andrew does in the big leagues. And you're playing 6 different positions. You come to the ballpark, you don't ever know which position you're going to start at. And then when you only play once or twice a week, to have the kind of at-bats that Romine has when he does play, it's special. He's a really good player and does his job very well. And it's not the easiest job in the world to do.
Well, I mean, it's one thing to have a guy that can play a little second, a little short, maybe a little third, but this guy can play the outfield, can play first, has pitched, could catch in an extreme pinch.
And he never complains about anything. He's a great teammate.
Ooh, up and in. Did it hit him? Yes. Romine, who's hit by the pitch.
It's the hardest pitch of the night thrown by Yanoa. It's a 96-mile-per-hour fastball up and in.
That actually hit him. Was that a pretty good sell job there by Romine?
I thought it might have nicked the jersey, if anything.
Did it?
If anything. Here's the look here again.
Ooh, barely.
Barely.
I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of daylight between the ball and the shirt. Here's Iglesias. Another mid-90s fastball up and in, 1-0. Iggy sac fly in the 5th inning to tie the game at 1. Trying to extend that hitting streak against the White Sox of 13 straight. Two and 0. Shields started. Albers came on and pitched in the 6th, gave up the 2-run homer to Cabrera. Now Inoa in the 7th. Two and 1 on Iglesias. Tigers the next 2 nights will see their best starting pitchers, Sale and Quintana. And the Mets are coming in.
And Tigers will counter with a couple of pretty good themselves with Fulmer. And then we've got Zimmerman. They're going to make his first start on Thursday afternoon. His first start since spending some time on the disabled list.
Expect J.D. Martinez to come back before the weekend as well, maybe as soon as Thursday.
Right.
Slapped to right field, but foul.
Well, he's played outfield one time in Toledo. It's not going to be an issue as far as the arm is concerned. It's not imperative that J.D. be throwing at full strength when he gets back to the big leagues. Just make sure you hit the cutoff man. Cameron Maybin, when he first came back to the big leagues, he was still ailing with his shoulder, but he was still able to play and work his way through it. It's going to be a nice shot in the arm for this offense. It's already clicking on all cylinders.
No question. Oh, there's another hit batter. That one's square in the back of Iglesias.
Goodness gracious.
What's going on here? That'll load him up for the Tigers. Bring Don Cooper out. Kinsler's going to bat with the bases loaded, already up 8-3. By the way, follow Tigers Baseball live with the MLB.com at Bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day, live game video highlights, StatCast news, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone or tablet. So here's Kinsler now with the bases loaded. Ian is 1 for 4 with a run scored.
Ian will be looking to jump on a first pitch fastball.
Didn't give it to him.
He's still sitting there waiting for it.
They're loaded up. Collins, Romine, Iglesias. Tigers have 7 free bags tonight, 4 walks and 3 hit batters. Two and 0. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Ripped to left, but foul. He was out in front. Got that 2-0 fastball and then kind of tomahawked it down the left field line. More action in their bullpen. There is Carson Fulmer.
Carson Fulmer, before he came up to the major leagues a few weeks ago, he was a #2 prospect in their organization. The shortstop Anderson is a #1 prospect in the organization.
Did he hit him?
Hit the bat.
2-2. Well, Inoa struck out Upton to start the inning, then he walked Collins. 1 out later, a couple of hit batters. Maybin on deck. Here's the 2-2. Soft line drive to left, base hit. 1 run scores. Here comes Romine. He will score. 2-run single for Ian Kinsler.
Fastball inside here, 2-seam variety. Ian Kinsler turns on it. He lost it in the left field over the shortstop's head. Anderson, and Romine with a real good break. With 2 outs, able to score easily on the base hit by Ian. Second hit of the evening by Kinsler.
That'll bring up Cameron Maybin. Tigers have scored 10 runs, and they lead 10-3. Chopper right back to the mound. That will end the inning, but the Tigers get 2 more to pad the lead. Tigers baseball presented by Bell Tire. Scoreboard, Tigers now lead 10-3 as we go to the top of the 8th here at the ballpark. Mario and Rod back here at Comerica Park. And Rod, when you look at this one, you got to look at Anibal Sanchez, because quite honestly, he's not pitched well this year, but kind of took a nice step forward tonight.
Well, I applaud Brad for giving Anibal Sanchez the ball here tonight against the White Sox. His last outing against the White Sox was a pretty good one, and he just kind of continued that. A lot of first pitch strikes, good fastballs, got up to 93, and he had some nice secondary pitches as well.
Well, let's talk about this offense, because it's really becoming a story now in this 7-game, well, soon to be 7-game winning streak. If the Tigers can hold on here tonight, the offense has been a big key.
Everybody in the lineup, with the exception of Iglesias, who has a sac fly in the game, have gotten busy here today. Miggy obviously has had a huge day. He's a triple shy of the cycle, but everybody else up and down the lineup has just done a really nice job tonight.
Well, the Tigers go back to the bullpen. Here is a left-hander now, Justin Wilson.
And good fastball for Wilson. Gets up to 95, 96. Got a nice breaking ball. And usually pitches late in the game when the Tigers have a nice lead. They acquired it from the New York Yankees last offseason, and when Al Avila was retooling his bullpen.
Jose Abreu leads it off. And Abreu shoots a ground ball to third. Look at that play by Romine.
How about the quick glove action there by Andrew Romine, who is a shortstop by trade, which makes it very easily for him to slide over to third base. He's got quick feet and nice actions with the hands. Look at him watch that ball all the way into the glove. And for you kids at home, that's exactly how you do it. He watches the ball all the way into the glove. They call that picketed grinning, partner.
And Romine does it with the best of them.
You know, they always say that when you're in the infield, you always want to keep your feet moving. That's what Iglesias always talks about. That's how you make a play like that. When your feet are moving, your hands work a little bit better for you. You're able to make that real nice athletic play.
Up and in from Wilson. 1 ball, 1 strike on Justin Morneau. Tigers 10 runs on 11 hits, and the Sox 3 runs, 9 hits. 2-1. Morneau tonight, a single and a walk. He is 1 for 2. Checked it inside, didn't go. Jeff Kellogg said he held up. 3-1 on Morneau. Tigers have gone with Sanchez, and then Green came on in the 7th, surrendered a 2-run homer, but nothing after that. And now Justin Wilson here in the 8th. Here's the 3-1.
Good fastball at 95 miles an hour. You might as well come back with that same fastball, see if Morneau can catch up to it. Here it comes. They want it in the same spot. Ooh.
And Morneau's out of there, 2 gone. First strikeout for Wilson.
And Wilson really missed with the location here, but Morneau knew he was going to get a fastball, and he swung at ball 4.
Here's Todd Frazier.
And better known as the Todd father. Ooh, nice little backdoor breaking ball there thrown by Wilson. Started that ball off the plate outside. Frazier gave up on it, and it caught the outside corner. Nice job by the home plate umpire John Tumpane as well, staying with that pitch.
Todd father hammers one.
Yeah, he did. At number 30.
Ooh, it is going to tie him with Trumbo for the league lead.
That got out of here in a hurry.
2-out solo shot from Frazier. That'll make it 10-4. Second home run of the night for the Sox. The other belongs to Garcia.
It's a fastball, and it kind of leaks back over into the happy zone of Frazier. He loves to pull the baseball, and he just turns on it. He has 30 homers this year. 20 of the 30 have gone to left field.
It'll bounce into Deoner Navarro. It's also the 10th hit of the night for Chicago. Both sides double digits in hits. Here's the 1-0 pitch. And it's in for a strike. 1-1. Trumbo 30, and now Frazier with 30.
How about that kid Trevor Story, the rookie, with 27?
Pretty impressive. He's on that list of major league leaders. It's a pop-up, shallow left field. Justin up and charging, but so is Maben. Nice sliding catch.
Real nice communication there. Maben calling that ball, making sure Iglesias got out of the way, knew he had to slide to make the play, and does it beautifully.
1 run on the home run by Frazier, but a nice sliding play by Maben. Lead as we go to the bottom of the 8th. The Tigers host the New York Mets this Sunday at 1:10 p.m. It's Tigers Kids Day and it's Sunday Kids Day. All kids 14 and under receive a free Miguel Cabrera Miggy Bank. Visit Tigers.com or call 866-66-TIGER. And all the kiddos score Miggy Bank.
Nothing like a Miggy Bank.
Well,
Put a couple pennies in the mini bank.
Miggy's real bank is pretty big.
Yeah, you know that's right.
Carson Fulmer coming on now for the White Sox.
Since being recalled from the minor leagues, Carson Fulmer has pitched 5 in the 3rd innings. He's given up 8 earned runs. He has 4 strikeouts and he's walked 5. MLB.com says that he was the #1 prospect for the Chicago White Sox after Tim Anderson got called up.
Cabrera, here he comes, Rod, looking for the cycle.
Yes, he is.
Need a triple.
I would not put anything past Miguel Cabrera.
Swing and a miss. 0-2. Fulmer did not pitch all that well the first time the Tigers saw him on the last road trip. But he's got immense talent. Driven toward right center field. Garcia makes the catch.
Ooh, it almost got in Triple's alley out there.
I'm telling you, man. That thing goes over his head.
Here's our bell tire pitch by pitch. In case you joined us a little late today, Anibal Sanchez started for the Tigers and he was simply on point. A couple of harmless fly balls early in the game. And then when there was a runner on first base, he was throwing ground balls. This one was 4-6-3 double play. Then he went 6-4-3 the other way. And he also had just the 1 strikeout, but he was first pitch strike on just about every last one of the Chicago White Sox here today and exploited a lot of their weaknesses. Very nice job today by Anibal. And 2 strikeouts today for Anibal Sanchez.
Victor, an RBI double plus a walk. One ball, 1 strike.
Fulmer's got a fastball that gets up to about 94. He also cuts the fastball 21% of the time. He's got a curveball and a changeup. And he's got a violent delivery. Very violent delivery.
Carson will not be 23 until December 13th this year. Check to swing, 3-1. Built it in the air to right field. Way back. That ball's gone. Victor Martinez, a 1-out solo shot. Got all of that one. Can't stop this Tigers offense right now.
Carson Fulmer, he will start to really understand that to pitch in the big leagues and have success, you can't fall behind really great hitters like Victor Martinez. It's a 3-1 fastball. It's 93 miles an hour. And Victor Martinez clears the hips and turns on fastballs as well as any when batting left-handed on good firm fastballs. It's our Magic Moonshot, and it's presented by Magic Window. And that's a moonshot.
Oh, it sure was. Halfway up the seats up there in right field. Strike called on Upton. Second Tigers homer of the night. The other belongs to Cabrera. That is 12 Tigers hits now. 0-2 on Upton. Justin a single. He's also been hit by a pitch. Little chopper back up the middle. Base hit. Second hit of the night for Upton. Every Tiger has at least one hit tonight except Iglesias, who has been hit by a pitch and has a sac fly with an RBI. Here's Collins. Ball one. Karsten Fulmer replacing Michael Inoue here in the 8th. Now he's gone to 3-0.
What you got on the Fulmer specs? Would you sport them?
I see they're right out of the Rod Allen collection.
I'd wear them.
Pretty good. Not really my style, but pretty good.
You don't see many pitchers wearing glasses, though.
No. Fulmer was born in Lakeland, Florida, and lives in Lakeland. Spring home of your Tigers. But on the pitch at Vandy, and Vandy has produced a bunch of guys. 3-1 pitch, and he lost him, ball 4. Bring up McCann.
It's the one thing you love about the Tigers' approach here tonight. Even though they've got a real big lead, guys aren't leaving the strike zone. Guys are still forcing these White Sox pitchers to throw the ball over the heart of the plate. They've got a really nice game plan going. Really, they've had a nice game plan going for the last week or so from an offensive standpoint.
So McCann will bat with 1 out. He singled in 2 in the big 6th inning for the Tigers, which turned this game around. They were down 1-0 and then scored 6 in the 5th to seize command of this game. That extended McCann's hitting streak to 6 in a row.
And Fulmer's going to find out very quickly you can't have a lot of success in the big leagues if you're consistently falling behind the hitters. McCann has himself in a real nice fastball friendly count.
1-1. The guys are getting to the big leagues quicker and quicker and quicker. He was the 8th overall pick in the draft
last year,
and he had just, I don't know, a handful of games in the minor leagues last year. Called up from AA this year. Fouled away again. 1-2. And I would guess that when you consider whether or not to bring guys up that quickly, certainly talent is the first thing you think about. But he's also a guy that's played at a major college program, which helps.
Absolutely, for sure. And you were asking me a question a little earlier when Anderson, the shortstop, was up, how long it takes young players to really develop really good plate discipline. If you're a high school player, it's going to take you 4 or 5 years of minor league baseball and then to the big leagues. College guys that play at really good programs, sometimes the learning curve is only 1 or 2 years because they played at a really nice college. So it just depends on the guy and how you really learn your strike zone and really learn how to carry yourself in the major leagues.
Here you go. Some of the guys in the league right now from Vandy.
And they had a pretty star-studded group there, alumni. David Price, Pedro Alvarez, Sonny Gray, Dansby Swanson, Fulmer, Verhagen. Most of those guys #1 draft choices.
I know it. Here is Romine, who had a triple hit by pitch in his last at bat. The 1-0. That'll get away, but not far enough from Navarro. 2 balls, no strikes, so yet again Fulmer falling behind in the count. Foul tip as Romine goes after the 2-0 pitch. Tell Navarro no intent there as he caught Navarro. Tigers have scored all 11 of their runs from the 5th inning on. They were pretty much handcuffed early on in this game by Shields. Fouled back to the screen, and the count now 2-2. Iglesias on deck. Green pitched tonight, so did Wilson. Navarro blocks that. Run the count full now, 3-2. I'm assuming tomorrow night the White Sox will not be wearing throwback jerseys.
No, they will not be wearing any throwback jerseys. As a matter of fact, I don't even think they have any more throwback jerseys.
Just checking. Here's the 3-2. Swing and a miss. Down he goes. So Fulmer comes back with a couple of strikeouts. It's been a big night, though, for Victor Martinez. He wired a double to drive in a run, and he's homered here in the 8th. Tigers in command as we go to the 9th. Bank game summary. Well, I got to hand it to Ron Allen. He picked Anibal Sanchez, the player of the game. He didn't let you down.
He did well. He did walk 3 in the game, just 2 strikeouts, but I love the attack that he had against the White Sox. Lots of first pitch strikes. He pitched a good game.
Meanwhile, the Tigers offense continues to roll. Cabrera had a big night tonight, 3 for 5, double homer, 3 RBIs.
And last 2 weeks for Miguel Cabrera, his contact to damage ratio has simply been off the chain.
Well, here is Mark Lowe now to try and finish this one off.
And Mark Lowe pitching in his 39th game. It has not been a great year for Mark Lowe. And signing a 2-year deal. He pitched in Toronto last year and in Seattle and had a tremendous year. But for whatever reason, this year he has not been as good. But lately he's gone out there with a pretty good fastball, anywhere from 92 to 95, and has pitched better.
First one is hammered deep to left field. Where's this one going to land?
Oh, my God.
Oh, I have not seen a ball hit that far in maybe ever.
What has gotten into Avisail Garcia?
That's his 2nd home run of the night. He didn't even start this game, but that one was killed.
That is his 7th career home run against his former teammates. Oh my goodness, two-seam fastball that was just absolutely killed. When you hit him like that, man, you can carry your bat all the way around the bases if you want to.
No doubt.
Oh my goodness.
Fortunately, it only counts as one. 11-5. There's a ball high to Saladino.
Look at where it landed. Some people thought they were safe up there.
That's right. That's crazy. 11-5 ball game. There's a strike call now on Saladino. 1 ball, 1 strike. Garcia came on for the injured Charlie Tilson, and he's hit 2 homers. Swing and a miss. Two out of 3 tonight for Saladino. He's also stolen a base. Here's the 1-2. And he got him, strike 3. 1 gone here in the 9th. Bring up Adam Eaton.
Whew, hit speed of 116 miles per hour off the bat of that bomb that Garcia hit 465 feet.
Have you seen a hit speed that fast or that high?
Maybe the kid Stanton in Miami has
right.
1 or 2 higher than that, but other than that, I haven't seen a 116 reading this year.
So what's considered average?
Oh, under 100
Under 100
is average hit
yeah.
speed. 98, 97 miles an hour, the hit speed off the bat. That was an extraordinary swing by Garcia. Now, if somehow they can find that guy on a consistent basis.
Yeah, that would be huge. 0-1 on Adam Eaton. Oh, 2.
Good breaking ball there thrown by Mark. 84-mile-per-hour slider. Nice 10-mile-per-hour differential in the speeds between the breaking ball and also the fastball.
Mark Lowe replacing Justin Wilson, who came on in the 8th, Green in the 7th. Now Eaton waits on a 1-2, and it skips all the way to the screen. 2-2 on Eaton. Tim Anderson on deck. Single, 2 walks, and a steal tonight for Eaton. He came in struggling, but he always seems to find his stroke against the Tigers. Now Lowe ready with the 2-2, and he just missed. Full count, 3-2. Lost him, walked him again. That is his 3rd walk tonight.
He just finds a way to get on base.
Now Tim Anderson. Hitless tonight. He's 0 for 4. Strike one.
He's got a nice little feel for the breaking ball, throwing it at 83 to 84 miles an hour, but Lowe continues to miss with that fastball. The velocity not bad with the heater, 93, 94, but the location hasn't been good. Here's our high-speed pitch, and it is always brought to you by Xfinity. 93 top fastball thrown by Lowe in this inning. He's gone 83 with a slider.
On the outer edge, 1-2 now on Anderson.
Generous call there by home plate umpire John Tumpane.
Frankie Rodriguez warming up. Here's the 1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Lowe surrendered the homer to Garcia to start the inning. Came back to strike out Saladino, but then walked Eaton. Heart of the order is Lorkin. Cabrera waiting on deck. Then it would be Abreu. Outside, 3-2. Here's the full count pitch. Swing and a miss. He struck him out. Anderson now is 0 for 5. 2 gone.
They throw a breaking ball up there, even though the breaking ball was hanging. Anderson, very aggressive, opens up with that front side and basically pulled off that hanging breaking ball.
White Sox down to their final out. Here is Melky Cabrera. Cabrera tonight is hitless as well. Strike one. Just off the plate. 1 ball and 1 strike. And Cabrera looks at a ball inside. 2-1 now on Melky. 30,316 in attendance tonight. In anticipation of this final out, Tigers lead 11-5. Here's the 2-1. 3-1. Got Abreu waiting on deck. Ground ball to second should do it. Kinsler, and the Tigers win game 1.
7-game winning streak, and the Tigers just continue to roll.
Big bats tonight led by Miguel Cabrera. Total up, the Tigers win. We'll be back with a whole lot more from the ballpark.